I have not said
story.
that. But my goodness, talk about rags to riches.
Yeah.
Who do you want to go?
Literally.
Any chance Purdy doesn't earn his payday?
There's no real reason to think that he won't. Like, no reason whatsoever. Even if you think, Nick, that he needs all these weapons around. Well, the weapons are there. Like, he's got all these weapons, you know? Every single Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, McCaffrey, Trent Williams. The defense is intact. Kyle Shanahan is there. Like, all the weapons are there. The only way I could see that he wouldn't get paid is if they don't win the Super Bowl, which I'm not picking them to win the Super Bowl, but they don't win the Super Bowl, and they know they have to lose a lot of these guys. We got reports, or at least scuttlebutt, I'd say reports, that the ownership is like, we are spending a ton of money, and they did so yesterday some more.
Might be report singular.
Report, right. But if they don't win the Super Bowl and they're just like, you know what, we're blowing it up. We can't keep spending all this money. We've kept coming close. We're starting over, and that includes Purdy. That's really the only reason I see it, Nick, because since he's been playing, and we got it here, 21 games. Look at his rankings in the league. Record, second best. Passer rating, first. TD percentage, first. Touchdown interception ratio, fourth. Yards per pass, first. Playoff wins, obviously second only to Mahomes. There's no real reason I can see to think he won't have another really good season.
So here's just, and I say, and we can go fast here because I know we're up against it. Just an actual thought exercise for you guys and for the audience. Let's just say this year is very similar to last year, where for Purdy and for the Niners, which is when they are whole, they look like the best team in the league. They have a few games where a couple of the Avengers are out and they look awful. And then let's just say they don't make Super Bowl. NFC Championship game, you know, a great game, and nobody's hanging around Purdy's neck. Because let me just show you the numbers real quick. Last year for Purdy, when the team was at full strength, the only loss was overtime in the Super Bowl. In the games that either Trent missed the whole thing, Debo missed the whole thing, or somebody missed a portion of, fell off the map, okay? The question is this, because they can pay Purdy after this year, but they don't have to.
Right.
They have another year. If after this year they fall short, they don't win the Super Bowl, and it's similar to that, and then this offseason it's like, man, Debo we have to trade, and Kittle is retiring, or you know what I mean? Whatever it is. I mean, Trent Williams. Wouldn't you, if you were running the Niners, say, are we sure we don't want to see him for a year? Under the circumstances, we would be seeing him for the next 5?
Yeah.
Is that I don't think that's unfair.
It is unfair because it's incredibly misleading. I'm going to tell you why. You can't just remove starters and say this guy should still be able to ball out without these incredibly key pieces. Okay? If we just took Travis Kelce and Pacheco, Rashee Rice, pick your poison, and just remove them both, like he just did with Debo and who was it, Trent? How do you think Patrick Mahomes is going to play? Is Patrick Mahomes going to ball out? What's Patrick Mahomes' record? Do his numbers go down at all? The answer is yes. So it's not so much that those players are everything or that they're only successful with those players, because Patrick Mahomes is going to be successful without Travis Kelce and without other weapons. But they replace those weapons. They don't just have a second or third string. Like, it's not like a random thing. They'll draft. They now have Worthy, for instance, right? Like, they now got another tight end. I forget his name. It slipped my mind for the Chiefs. Right? Just like they're going to move. We don't know, and unfortunately, with everything that happened to Pearsall, he's going to replace Debo maybe. Right? Like, so this idea that just when we remove your bona fide starters, the team, the players that the team has constructed an identity around, that when we remove those players, we're not supposed to see any type of significant drop. I mean, that's insane. That's absurd. And especially when we're talking about a young player. who's obviously going to rely on that. And again, and even an offensive coordinator or our offensive head coach who's going to rely and game plan around those players, like Shanahan does with Debo, like Andy Reid does with Travis Kelce. So it's a false equivalency there. And it's just misleading. Again, under that logic, we can play the stat game all day and say, look at Patrick Mahomes' stats. They seriously drop off in the Super Bowl. They do. They big time. His worst games are in the Super Bowl. Why? You can't just use these binary stats as proof of anything. You just can't. I mean, this is the better sample size, okay? This is his numbers as a career, for his entire career so far. Yes, they are going to be juiced up because he has a better team. I've never denied that once. Never. But you can't just take it away. Because under this logic, we're saying then a backup quarterback would still be able to put up top numbers. And we know that's not the case. We know that's not how it works. We know that. So even though Brock Purdy has a great roster around him, it doesn't mean that Brock Purdy's not playing great with those players. I mean, it's just a fact he is. The numbers and the film speak for themselves. And as Colin Cowherd highlighted, I think it was today, where he talked about what Sam Darnold said about Brock Purdy, is that he's the fastest and best processor that he's ever played with. He just sees the field and understands so much better and more efficient and quickly than most people realize. That's Brock Purdy's superpower. It's not his cannon of an arm. It's not his escapability. It's not his ability to run for 50 yards. It's his head. It's above his shoulders. It's his ability to process. It's ability to execute Shanahan's very in-depth, complicated offense. Shanahan doesn't run an easy, elementary 101 offense here. We call him a genius for a reason. Yeah, things look easy because Brock Purdy does his part in making it look easy. So it's just not fair. And like what Bruce said, the pieces are there. The team is there. Brock Purdy only needs to be as good as the team allows him to be. That's all they're asking him to do, and he's doing it with flying colors. If those numbers were low, if he was 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, then you could make the argument. But when you look at these numbers, how can you say that he's holding that team back? How much higher do you want his rating to be? How much higher do you want his touchdown percentage to be? Could he increase his touchdowns to interceptions? I suppose, technically, because he's only 4th. But I mean, what else do you want him to be? 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 in every single stats? Yards per pass first. What else do you want from him? And there's a great chance that he would have won a Super Bowl if he didn't have to play Patrick Mahomes. And again, I've made the argument that if Brock Purdy was 5-10% better, they do win that Super Bowl. So I'm not saying that Brock Purdy is the best quarterback in the NFL and that he does not have room to grow. And I will say, listen, you put Joe Burrow on the 49ers, or you put Josh Allen on the 49ers, or Patrick Mahomes on the 49ers, yeah, they will be a better team. I do believe that. But that doesn't mean that Brock Purdy, because the way how Nick sees that, because that's what the argument is, right? What would this team look like if Patrick Mahomes was the quarterback? That's, Nick has said that many times. I mean, what kind of comparison is that? He uses that as a way to then say, see, we know Mahomes would be so much better with this team, and this team would, be the greatest team ever. Therefore, Brock Purdy's not that good of a quarterback. Therefore, Brock Purdy doesn't deserve any credit. Therefore, Brock Purdy is at the bottom of his Mahomes mountain. I think he was the 2nd or 3rd level. He was on the same level as Baker Mayfield, if memory serves me correctly. So, come on. What are we talking about here? So, does he deserve his payday? Yes. Do I think he deserves to be the highest paid quarterback in the history of the world? No. But I don't think a lot of these quarterbacks deserved it. I don't think Tua deserved it. I don't think Trevor Lawrence deserved it. Right? So it is going to be interesting to see what type of contract he gets. I think he's going to take a team-friendly deal. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just judging him on the person that I think he is rather than who he is. But I believe he is not going to play hardball. He is not going to say, well, look at my numbers. Look at this. I deserve to get paid $70 million a year. I just don't think that. I think he's smart enough to understand that he is better with the players around him and he's going to work. Doesn't mean that he's going to take a $35 million deal. Because I think, right, the money, technically, the quarterbacks are now going to be getting paid 60, 65. And I could see him, right, if the new number really becomes 65 million a year, I could see him taking 60 or even a 55 of some sort. I think, considering what he's done for the 49ers, that's deserving. And I understand what Nick is saying, like, oh, don't we want to see another year? I get it. I do. And it's technically strictly business. It's not the worst idea. But I think just from the human side of it all, and you got to connect it, and like Travis O'Shea always talks about, this isn't Madden. These aren't just, computer graphics. Like, these are actual real people that you're managing here. It would make sense. It would make sense to be like, Brock, let's work together. What's a deal that we can get? What can we get done? Especially if you don't win the Super Bowl this year. It's like, listen, look how great this team is, and yet we're still not winning the Super Bowl. If we pay you the $65 million, our team's going to get worse. So how are we going to get over this hump? I think that is something that a Brock Purdy can understand. And then that's also part of what you're paying. Because the Dallas Cowboys don't have that in Dak. I will take Brock Purdy over Dak Prescott any day of the week. Because I believe that Brock Purdy will take a more team-friendly deal. He will play his part in helping the team get better. That alone is worth money. You're paying for someone what they do on and off the field. There's not a lot of Brock Purdys in the NFL. There's just not. We've seen how things can go disastrously wrong. Whether it be on the field or because of their personality, the things they say at the mic, the trouble they get in off the field, the amount of money that they're demanding. Do you think it was the best case scenario for Trevor Lawrence to get all that money? Do you think that's the best thing for the Jaguars? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Was it the best thing for the Cincinnati Bengals? Absolutely not. They have trouble signing their wide receivers now. That wasn't the best thing for Joe Burrow. It wasn't the best thing for Josh Allen. And I believe Brock Purdy's not going to follow that suit. That alone is worth extra money. Whether you think he's actually worth a $40 million quarterback, well, because of that, because he's willing to take a discount like that, give him more money. Because your team will be better because of it. And if you want to move on from him, because he doesn't want to take, say, like a $40 million contract, there's a good chance that the next quarterback that you get is going to want that 60, 65 or not do that team deal. You think Shedeur Sanders is going to take a discount? Are you kidding me? Prime, son? He's going to take a hometown discount? Get out of here. Brock Purdy is a proven quarterback. He's proven that he can play elite with elite weapons. Not all quarterbacks in the NFL can be elite with elite weapons. That's a fact. And it's a fact that Brock Purdy has proven what he can do. So stop judging him on what you assume he can't do. Judge him on what we've seen him do. That's how you draw the appropriate conclusion. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think Brock Purdy has earned his payday? And do you think there's any chance that he doesn't get paid? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.